Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and today I'm going to take you through an adventure I had with this ratchet. This is a small quarter-inch snap-on ratchet, older one, this 2006 according to the date code. It's the T936 or 36 tooth. It actually was in pretty good shape, wasn't a lot of money. I went ahead and got it even though it was kind of crunchy when I played with it in the store in a pawn shop, and basically I thought it was probably not broken anywhere. Otherwise, then I'd have to get a rebuild kit, which then that costs money. But anyway, the reason I didn't think it was broken is because it had sort of a uniform or symmetrical crunch all the way around and in both directions. So it didn't matter what I did. It was just kind of a little bit of friction. And I thought, it's not perfect. It's probably got some contamination inside it. Not a broken pawl or messed up spring or gear teeth missing or scratched or something. So anyway, I went ahead and got it. Came home, tore it open. I usually do that. I have no trouble ripping into tools. This is an older one, older version. Notice it's got the screw heads on the back. The new ones don't. The screw heads on the back, and especially with the holes in the front, are just magnets for debris inside them. It's a design that needed to change, and Snap-on changed it. I like the old one. This was back in the day when they had USA on it. And then, of course, they got rid of USA, and then they had to put USA back on because of the outcry. But basically, what I've got here is a cleaned up ratchet. It had all kinds of debris inside it. Everything else looks great. And then I noticed there's a problem. The way this one works is there is a spring right here, and that spring drops down. Actually grease this up, so hopefully I can put this all back together in front of you. So I've got my super lube here, which is basically a kind of a silicon-based synthetic grease. It's the one Snap-on sends with you in the rebuild kits. They send a little tube. So I've got my spring here, and the spring is actually goes down most of the way, not all the way, most of the way into a little channel right down in there. And then a ball bearing, which looks like this, rests on top of it while you put the rest of it together. And I tried for about an hour. I tried dental tools, I tried picks, I tried tweezers, all kinds of things, and I just couldn't get this to work. I thought this might be impossible. I went online to YouTube and found a total of one video where someone struggled with a 3/8 inch ratchet. I couldn't find anything with a quarter. And they had a special tool that allowed you to depress the ball bearing and the spring down while you did the rest of the stuff, because I have to put the switch in, I have to put the pawl in, I have to get the rest. Once the pawl's in, everything's fine. But it was crazy hard, and I thought, this is really a bad design. If I had got the rebuild kit, it actually has more of a pin detent that drops down into the spring, so you don't have to fight with it the same way you have to fight with that ball bearing. But anyway, I thought I could build myself a tool, so I did, and this is it. I used 12 gauge solid core copper wire because it was malleable, and then I flattened it, pounded it with a hammer. I'll show you how I did this in a sec. But basically I built something that hopefully will hold that and allow me to hold this down while I put the rest of the parts in. So let's go ahead and try it here. First thing I'm going to do is get this all gooed up here to hold the ball bearing, because I have to go from the top down. So I'm dropped the ball bearing into my little detent. Hopefully hold it still enough, and then I'm going to line it up. You can see what I'm trying to do. I'm going to hold it down here so it shoots across. Hopefully I'll catch it. Line it up and press down there, and now I've got it hopefully captured, and what I've got is my little hook. So then I'm going to quickly get the switch, drop the switch in. It's got to go switch side down. It's a little sticky here. Goodness, I don't have a lot of time before something's going to go wrong. Come on, get in there. There we go. There it is. Turn it around so I've lined it up. In this case, the ball bearing's on this side. So then I'm going to get the pawl here, and the pawl is directional. The larger part goes down, and it lines up. So I'm going to see if I can get that on. There it is. Hopefully that's in. Slide that out. Now I test it. Yep, look at that. You can see it switches back and forth. No problem. Now I'm going to hurry and get the rest of this together before something bad happens. I've got 2 more pieces. This one I'm going to kind of put plenty of, set this down carefully, plenty of grease on this guy. This silicone stuff does come, if it gets hot, it does loosen up and come off. So there's that. All good. I'm going to go ahead and flip the switch. So that's lined up well. Then I've got the case back, or the front, I guess. There is a gasket on it. I looked at that. It looks in great shape. But I'm going to go ahead and goob that up. Nice and messy there. Drop that on. All right, everything's holding together. And then I've got a couple of screws. Normally these screws have Loctite on them. There's a little bit left. I'm not terribly worried. So here we go. And I need my, where is my Torx? There it is. I was looking for Snap On. It's Craftsman. So there I go. I can drop that on. Snug it up to proper torque. Good enough. And see if this thing works. Now I'm going to hook it up. Sometimes it's a lot easier when you get a little bigger angle here. Nice. Try this side. Nice. Perfect. A little greasy, but there we go. So how did I build this thing? Well, first I had to have the idea. Then what I did is I stripped out a piece of wire, flattened it with my ball peen hammer, just banged it down on here on my railroad tie anvil till it was the right thinness. Then I had to have the detent. Started out with a Snap-on awl, pounding on it with a hammer here. And when I did that, I thought, I'm going to break my awl, so I got my old school Stanley designed to be pounded on. Thought maybe Snap-on should have, you know, some, like they have their striking scrapers, maybe they need their striking pry bar, or striking picks. So I lined that up, made it a little bit bigger, tested it with the ball bearing. Everything worked great. Then I kind of figured out the angle. You notice it's offset. That's so when it's in this position, you can see as I pull on it, this doesn't get in the way of the back of the ratchet, but I can hang on to the handle. So I think it's more advanced than the one Snap-on sells you. But anyway, then I put it back together and thought, boy, that was a real treat. I can see why they've changed the design, and I can also see why people are a little reluctant to dig into these things. If I had lost any one of those parts, it's boom, an instant $20 to buy the replacement kit. But overall, it was a lot of fun once I got things rolling. I just had to keep working at it. I did try a few other things. I used these pliers. At first, I thought it was going to be necessary to actually curve this a little bit more. You can see that little bend there. It actually is almost the opposite direction, but I was originally trying to bend it so it would sit flush in that seated little pocket. I found out it really didn't matter. And then I also had to get the detent part at the right height. So when I was dropping it down in there and holding it on, I could literally just pull with one finger, and this would stay at the proper height. Because when my earlier ones, they just popped off. So I actually built several of these trying to dial it in before I made this video. But anyway, there it is. So if you get one of these old ones and you just want to work on it, but that ball bearing detent is driving you crazy, just build a tool. Looks like that. You know, or send me $20 and I'll make one of these for you. Just kidding. I don't know if I have the time. But anyway, there it is. I hope you enjoyed this little adventure. And don't be scared of tearing things apart and then having to build the tools in order to put them back together. And with that, Doc out.